Thanks for tuning into my channel. How we doing out there, G and 350Z lovers? Today, what I wanted to go over is oil consumption. And I'm sure you've seen oil consumption everywhere. It's out on YouTube, it's out on the forums, it's out online. What I wanted to do today is go over what levels are normal consumption and what levels are abnormal consumption, and also how you can stop the consumption with a vented catch can instead of a closed catch can, which is what a lot of people are preaching about using as a closed system. A vented system is way more efficient, and I'll be able to show you proof in this video. That's violent. Well, Motordyne, she don't want to play around. Alright, what's going on, G lovers? Today this video is going to be on oil consumption, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with oil consumption and you have already your own thoughts and opinions on it. Well, here I wanted to kind of give people a little bit more detail and a lot more facts to the situation. So cars, when they age, all cars burn oil. The VQ is no exception to the rule. Yes, this is a rev-up motor. This one has an additional exhaust cam, which you can tell right here. So it burns a little bit more than the regular one that's in the non-rev because it has a higher RPM range. And plus, it comes down to the piston rings is really what it's about. Any car that burns oil, it's down to the piston rings. So if you look here, this is the chart from INFINITI and Nissan. This actually specifies how much consumption is considered bad consumption. So anyone saying that their car doesn't consume oil at all, yes it does. Consumption is normal. So it happens as the engine ages. Yeah, the first 20,000, 30,000, you're not gonna have consumption. But as it keeps going on, it will slowly have consumption. So according to this chart, as you can see, oil consumption chart, the first 1,000 miles, they're considering 5 millimeters to be excessive consumption. So on your dipstick, if you look here, on your dipstick, between the high and low mark is 30 millimeters. So they're saying the first 5 millimeters would be excessive consumption the first 1,000 miles. So at 2,000 miles, they're saying 10 millimeters is excessive consumption. So at 2,000 miles, if your dipstick's halfway down, they would consider that excessive consumption. And what they did with this chart was this was used to give, if you were under 70,000 miles, they would give you a brand new long block. So what you would do is you'd go into the dealer, you would ask for an oil consumption test, and what they do is they change the oil there, they make you pay for an oil change there, and then they take a white permanent marker and they mark your drain plug. And then every 1,000 miles they want you to come in and they're going to check your oil, and then they're going to compare it to this chart, and they're going to see if it's on this chart, if it's excessively consuming, they're going to give you a new long block. And the difference between a long block and a short block is the short block's just the bottom end. A long block means you get everything replaced except the accessories. So you may be asking yourself, well, why is this even, what is this knowledge even useful for me? So I don't think they're going to give any warranties anymore, INFINITI Consumer Affairs, because the engine's way past warranty and due, or way past its due date on the warranty. But what I wanted to show is to help owners feel better that consumption is pretty normal for aging engines. I have a BMW E46 it consumes about a quart of oil every 1,000 miles, and it's a 2003. It has 160,000 miles on it. So another thing I looked up is I was able to find. So I checked a Lamborghini Gallardo's owner's manual. In the owner's manual, it said for every 1,000 miles you need to add a quart of oil. So just started checking everywhere online. It seems that any automobile that there's a lot of passion behind, I think the G35 and 350Z falls in that category. People will go out and document their experiences. So that's why you see a lot of documented experiences about burning oil. Yes, the Rev-up it does consume a lot more, but that's because the people that buy the Rev-ups rev the shit out of it. They floor it, it's a 6-speed. That's why if you take it easy on it, of course it's going to consume less oil. So here's the main thing I see out on the forums or out online. Everybody talks about a catch can to go ahead and help with oil consumption. I had my catch can 5 years ago and I got it from my tuner. He told me what to do. A lot of people have closed catch cans. And let me show you what I'm talking about. That's a vented catch can. And by vented, I mean it's completely open. It vents everything to the atmosphere. So back before 1970, all cars vented to the atmosphere, both valve covers. This valve cover would and that valve cover would. EPA regulations came about and they started saying that we need to recycle the blow-by oil, which is very nasty, the oil that gets past the oil rings and the oil vapor. We need to recycle that back through the motor. It's very disgusting, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like here. Not only is oil vapor nasty, it also lowers your octane rating because it's in the air that actually gets sent into the combustion chamber to get lit and ignited. Also has oil vapor in that air. So whenever you have a PCV valve and you're not venting to the atmosphere, your octane rating is lower right out the box. So here's an illustration to show you what I was trying to talk about here. Obviously they're showing a closed can here, but this just kind of illustrates what I'm trying to show. So escape gases from the combustion chamber and then the oil vapor gets back inside the engine, becomes blow-by gas. So that's the oil that actually makes it past the piston rings right here. And then the other oil vapor coming in would be coming from your air intake track, which blows down into the intake runners right here. And since there's that oil vapor right around in here, what happens is sludge will start to build up on the inside of this because that's not clean air coming in there all the time. That's oil vapor getting mixed in. So you're probably asking yourself, what does oil vapor, what does it look like inside my catch can blow-by oil? Here's exactly what it looks like. Here's a one off of 350Z. There's the inside of it. This one, see this, it's blow-by is disgusting stuff. So here's an example of some sludge that will build up in because they were having obviously an issue with blow-by oil and their PVC system. This is just a Google image I found. So here is what my original lower plenium looked like when I went to put the MREV2 on. As you could see, I had oil vapor inside of it. So once I installed the catch can, this is exactly what it looked like. It looked completely spotless. This is the MREV2. And this will stay completely spotless because it's impossible for oil vapor to enter into the air intake because I have it plugged. So as you look, you could see my lower plenium had oil all in it. And the way it got it is from over here. If you look on my intake, see this plug right here? This plug is hooked to your driver's side valve cover. And that blow-by oil and the vapor is getting pushed back into the air intake and sucking it in. Where does it get on the other side? Right here, your PCV valve. This is your positive crankcase ventilation. And what it does here is it gets sucked down into, let me get out of the way here. There's the other port. See how I got it plugged? There's no way. So here's the thing, with a closed system, they still have this hooked up and they still have this side hooked up. And they're praying that their catch can catches the oil. With this way, a vented catch can, it's impossible. There's no way for blow-by oil or oil vapors to get into the lower plenium. This is plugged. This is the correct way to do a catch can. Over here, as you can see, this is plugged. This is the correct way to do a vented catch can. A vented catch can is way more efficient at getting blow-by oil and oil vapors than a closed system, which a lot of people out there are preaching about how a closed system's so great. I think they're getting ripped off. So this is what mine looks like. Yeah, you can buy the one and you put it right here. I just didn't want to do that because I'd have to cut my fan. All I did is there's a little bit more to it too. So instead of a PCV valve, what happens is if that PCV valve gets clogged, gunk and all that oil vapor starts happening inside your engine, which creates sludge. So you'll know if your PCV valve is clogged if you go around your valve cover and you see oil leaking out the sides of it. That's a good way it's clogged, and then it'll start consuming even more oil. So what I did to alleviate the PCV valve problem is I went ahead and bought one that's completely hollowed out, and I'll show you how to buy one for yourself right now. So as you can see here, you can get it for about 20 bucks. It completely screws in like factory, and it's hollowed out. So there's no ever changing your PCV valve or ever worrying about it. And then that tube goes directly right here to my vented catch can. That I just have sitting right here hanging out. And then I have the second tube running all the way back to the other valve cover, which is back here on this side. So that's the proper way to do a catch can. I wanted to show that because that helps with oil consumption. And if you're doing it the correct way, it ensures that the inside of the motor stays very clean. So another trick, you can never ever check your oil enough. Like I was saying before, oil consumption is common in all cars. It happens to every car as it ages. So a little trick to ensure that you're checking your oil is you want to take some sandpaper. Take this sandpaper, because this dipstick can be hard to read sometimes. See the dipstick here? So take this little sandpaper, about 80 grit sandpaper, and where the high and low markings are, scratch off a little bit. That gives more surface area, a little friction on it so the oil sticks and it's easier to read. Like, I don't have a problem reading the oil after about 2,000 miles because it gets dark. The first 1,000, the oil is really hard to read on the dipstick because it's so clear and it doesn't stick very well. So this little trick I found using some sandpaper definitely helps. So I wanted to share that knowledge with you. That'll conclude today's video on oil consumption, and hopefully that helped you out. If you liked the video, please click that like button. If you want more, I'll be uploading more content. Click the subscribe button, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Talk to you later.